All right, let's see. We are going live on Facebook to, talk about mindset for the spiritual life coach. And today we're talking about showing up big and thinking big. All right, copy, and there we go. Ooh, I should probably, no, it's hot. Can't believe I just said it's hot. Summertime, springtime, but it just feels so warm. All right, hi, my friends. It's Crystalline here, and I'm going to be talking about thinking big and showing up big. So this is a really important topic because, let's face it, a lot of us think small. We started off as children. We had great imaginations. We did not know limitations. We knew no boundaries. We wanted big things for ourselves. We wanted big things for the world. We expected big things from life. And somewhere along the way, things have changed for us. We've contracted. We've gotten a little bit smaller. We've gotten maybe fearful, doubtful. Something in the world has not shown us that it's okay to think big. We don't believe that our big thinking can manifest. We don't believe that our big dreams, goals, and ambitions can come to us. Maybe we don't feel worthy of them. Maybe we don't feel like we deserve them. Maybe we don't think that we have what it takes to really own them, to take care of them, to even nurture them. And this is a problem because, number one, if we feel that way, why do we feel that way? What's making us feel that way? And aren't we children of God here, having a human experience? Aren't we endowed with the power to create and manifest? Isn't that our divine right? So what I'd like to do today is simply to talk to you about thinking big and showing up big, but also for our workbook, I have some important questions that I want to take you through. And actually, I want to open that up. I want to get into that very quickly. So let me make sure that I have this open. There we go. All right. Okay, I've got it open. So one of the reasons why I think we think small is because we misinterpret the events that are happening around us. We internalize things that should not be internalized. We take on, okay, of course, we take on mindsets and belief systems that have nothing to do with us. For example, we take on our parents' beliefs about who we are and about how this world functions. We take on the beliefs of our teachers, our peers, the society around us, the news reporters, the president of the United States, like all the leaders. We have the same mindset that they do. And let's face it, y'all, we are spiritual, we are woo-woo, and we are different. Come on, if you are watching this video, you are different than many people. You believe in magic. Now, you may not know how the magic works, but you know that something is going on. You read tarot cards, You get premonitions, you get downloads, and you know that it is not all about 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 11. You know I'm right. Okay, so look, that kind of magical thinking, if somebody else other than you heard me say that, they would be like, they need to take her off of Facebook because she is talking gibberish. But no, I'm not. And you know I'm not. Your mind and your feelings are creating your reality, and you know it. You are having some trouble. I understand you might be having some trouble getting your mind and your feelings to align to go to that thing that you desire and to create your life, but you are not having as much trouble as you think. And because you think you're having trouble and you think kind of like the old school, the old guard, because you still are kind of caught up in thinking like them, you don't recognize all the wonderful things that you have already created and the wonderful things that you're already creating. Okay, so I don't want to turn this into a manifestation talk. I'm going to bring this back to showing up big and thinking big. So what does it mean to think big? Well, when we talked last, I introduced you to my concept of declaring your 11. And those 11 are a list of things that I think are really important for us to take responsibility for. And I'm going to just very quickly give you a summary of what those 11 things are, okay? And if you're in the program, you will see them in the program, and you've already done it, so you know what I'm talking about. But they are, you have to have, and here's what I want. I want for you to take responsibility for these 11 things, okay? Your spiritual connection, that is your connection to the divine, okay? Your emotional wellness, that is making sure that you are emotionally well, okay? Your intellectual expansion, this is about growing your mind, whether it be through reading books or painting, studying something, going out of your comfort zone and learning something new on a regular basis, doing things for intellectual expansion, okay? Physical soundness, taking care of your body and doing what you need to do, eating right, taking care of your skin, taking care of your hair, mostly eating right, exercising, and doing these things so that you are healthy in your physical body, in your temple. Time wealth. Now, what do I mean by time wealth? It means understanding that you are a creator. Spirit, God, the universe has endowed you with the power to create, creating beyond time, not seeing time as a limitation, but understanding that time is a gift. How can you use this gift? Shifting your mindset around time and using time as a friend rather than a foe. Like, oh, time is passing. Oh, I don't have enough time. Oh, that's dangerous thinking. So turning those old guard ideas on their head. Okay, I'm time wealthy. Financial freedom. Creating a definition of financial freedom that frees you from the burden of finances, the mystery of finances, the lack of finances. So this is about understanding that you are a creator and you can create financial freedom for yourself. How are you going to do that? Because you have a responsibility to do that for yourself so that you can live magnificently, so that you can live lavishly and opulently if you want to, at the very least, so that you aren't busy trying to figure out, like, so you're not spending all your time focusing on how to get out of survival mode, how to pay off all your debt. that's not cool. That's not what you're here on earth to do, to just be wallowing around in debt, not living the life of your dreams. So discovering financial freedom and creating for yourself a very a life that is free from lack. Okay. Next one would be personal relationships. So you need personal relationships. They need to be rewarding, and creating those for yourself. You also need social structure, and how you show up in your with your friends, how you show up with your with the things that where you're putting energy into groups that are important to you. That's another thing where you've got to take responsibility. How are you showing up for your group dynamics? And then, of course, there's community involvement. And by that, I mean, what's happening in your community? Who are your local Congress people? Who are, you know, how are things going at City Hall? And what's happening in your community with your neighbors, with the people that are maybe not as privileged as you are? Are they being taken care of? And do you need to give a fuck? Yes, you do. All right. So again, these declarations, these 11 things, I am strongly suggesting that you've got to be thinking big on these things. You've got to be thinking big in your life in order to show up for these. To me, these are the very basic things that we have to do in order to be human, right? And there are two more. It was community involvement, and then there's earth ascension, which is about helping the earth ascend, whether that be materially or physically, meaning, you know, supporting people that are doing things to help the environment, supporting causes that are helping the environment, that are helping the animals, that are helping the people, that are preserving nature, that are helping Mother Nature not have to clean up our bullshit, you know, because we've got tons of plastic floating in our oceans, as well as helping the earth ascend energetically as we are uplifting and upholding other people, right? And then the last responsibility we have is to unconditional love, which is holding the space of unconditional love somewhere around us, okay? And I'm not saying that you in this lifetime are going to be able to love everybody and everything unconditionally. You might be able to do that, or you might not, but it sure is a really good aim to practice. And if you can remind yourself of that, and if you can do some things to inch yourself closer to that on a regular basis, you would be really helping the world energetically, emotionally. You'd be helping the world a lot. So that's what we talked about in our last session. Today, in order to be a badass butterfly spiritual life coach, you have to do those things, but to do those things requires that you are thinking big, because I'll tell you, and this is me just talking from my own experience, there was a time when I could not show up for myself. I could not show up beyond survival mode. I couldn't show up for my friends. I couldn't show up for my family. I couldn't show up to read. I was always out of time. I was out of money. So that meant that I had to work all the time. And so I had no time. I had no money. There was never enough time for me to really do things well for myself. So there was no intellectual expansion. There was no time wealth. There was no freedom to do and create what I wanted to do and create. And so thinking big and showing up big, an important part of the badass butterfly spiritual life coach mindset is understanding that you have to have your shit together in order to be able to think big, because it's really difficult to think big and to show up big when you are when you can't pay your rent, or when you are so overweight that you can't, you can't move, and you're not emotionally able to show up for yourself, to show up for your friends, for your family, to show up for your business. You're depressed, okay? You're suffering from anxiety. When you're worried because your hair is falling out, when you are, God, there's so many different issues that we suffer through in our lives because of mindset, right? So this program is meant to help you overcome the limited small mindset so that you can move forward into thinking big. You do need to have space to think big and to show up big. You need space to be able to create the things that you want to create. You need time. You need energy that can go toward being creative. You need time to be able to go toward taking care of yourself. You need time for meditation, time for journaling and doing shadow work. You need time for all of that so that you can show up big. So for today's work, I want to ask you to join me in exploring how and what you need to show up big, what you need to think big. So let me just hop right into the lesson for today and the home fun, okay? Share screen, boom, here we go. All right, so for today, we have, let's see, this is our, oh, gosh darn it, we need our, oh, we have our, I already opened up the workbook for this week. All right, and as usual, we have the workbook, and it has 3 articles for you to read through. And then there's some space here for you to write in and do your thinking. Do your thinking, do your journaling. All right, that is all here for you. Let's see. So, and we have our quote of the week, which I think I already told you about the quote of the week, but that was last week. But here we go again. The quote for this week is the same as last week because that's where I am. We can learn a lesson from the butterfly beginning its life, crawling along the ground, then spinning a cocoon, patiently waiting until the day it will fly. And this is a quote from Heather Wolf. So I like this quote a lot, and especially in context of thinking big and showing up big, because from where you are right now, maybe you're a little nervous and maybe you are suffering with some of the things that I've spoken about. I would love to be able to just wave a magic wand and then all of a sudden you are thinking big and showing up big, but let's face it, it's not necessarily going to be like that. The idea of being patient as you grow is really important right now, especially as you are going through this reversal of mindset, okay? And I really want to encourage you to take the time to nurture yourself along in this process, because once you get that, your mindset aligned, the transition from caterpillar to butterfly becomes easier. It's not going to be easy, but it becomes easier. The hardest part of transitioning from caterpillar to butterfly is letting go of the caterpillar mindset. This is the problem. If we could just let go of the caterpillar self, then we would be flying right now, okay? So this is a process. Let's give ourselves some patience and a lot of love. Let's practice unconditional love right here as we start. All right. So that was last week's lesson. Here's what we're working on today, okay? Today we're working on thinking big and showing up big. And here are, as usual, our notes about the lesson. And then here's our home fun. And as usual, I have a ton of questions for you. And I think that these questions are really important. So I want to just make sure I get through them all very quickly. All right. So for your home fun this week, in the workbook, read the article, Thinking Big, Showing Up Big. Okay. And then I want you to answer these questions in your workbook. First question is, hey, be honest with yourself. What are some of your really, really big dreams? Now, look, I do not want you thinking like, oh yeah, my big dreams right now, boy, I would really love to get out of debt. You know, I'd love to, I'd love to, get my credit score higher. That's a big dream for you. Okay, no, that is not a big dream. That is just basic life. Okay, that's just called being an adult. All right. Beyond that, okay. And this is the problem, and this is why I'm talking about this, because too often, and literally it's too often, I hear people and they say, I can't think about that because I'm barely surviving. How can I think beyond survival mode? And I'm saying that in order to get out of survival mode, you gotta think beyond survival mode. The problem is that you're thinking in survival mode, you're living in survival mode, you're acting in survival mode, you're believing in survival mode. This is the problem. You've got to stop the momentum of survival mode, and you have to start a new momentum for thriving. All right. And this is what this exercise is all about. It's helping you recognize where you are playing it small, and wherever you are playing it small, you've got to stop and you've got to start thinking big. All right. I know I'm saying a lot of you gottas, but that's my job. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to let you know that I see you and I know you can do better. I'm here to help. All right. So let's look at those questions. So this first question is, what are some of your big dreams? I do suggest you go back to your childhood and think about what you dreamt of when you were a child, when you were young, when you were not jaded, when you were not afraid, when you were not burdened by needing to survive. What were some of your big dreams? Okay. Next question. How have your dreams changed from childhood to now? All right. In what ways has reality condensed, contracted, or made you smaller in your thinking? Look at yourself, write it all down. Next question. What does showing up big mean for you? What does it even mean to show up big? I have my definition of showing up big. For me, showing up big means that, number one, I have done my homework. I know what I'm talking about. I have put together all the pieces. I have studied. I've done my research. I am ready to show up. And then I show up in all my power. That's what showing up big means to you, means to me. What does it mean to you? Create your definition, because you're going to need that for your future life. Okay. And then the next question is, how do you even show up in your life? Right. So how are you showing up in your life? How do you show up physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically? Are you looking in your physical body the way you want to look? Is this the way you want to look? How are you showing up emotionally? Are your emotions, are you feeling on a daily basis the emotions you want to be feeling most of the time? What is the predominant way you feel most of the time? And I'm not talking about your surface emotions where it's, I'm fine. Oh yeah, I'm good. Yeah. No, I'm talking about deep inside, at your core. Because when I ask people this, they're always like, oh, I'm good. Like, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing that. I got this going on. I got that going on. And I'm noticing, as they're saying things, I'm feeling like, what's that? Like there's something, and then it's, well, actually there's always anxiety. So I keep myself moving so I don't have to feel the anxiety that's always there. So We want to know what's going on below the surface, because that is the vibration that is dominating and calling things into you. That predominant underlying vibration is what's calling, it's calling more of itself, and it's feeding itself. And again, if it's subconscious, you don't know about it. Okay, so you have to pause, you have to think, you have to review, you have to see, you have to explore. You can't just kind of go by, you can't stay superficial in your own life and in your own being and say, I don't know what the problem is. I can't, I don't know what the problem is. You know, my hair is falling out, but I don't know what the problem is. Not okay. All right. Next question is, how do you show up for your goals and your dreams? Do you even have goals and dreams, or have you stopped writing them and stopped making them because you haven't followed through with them in years, so you just gave up? That's an issue. Okay, not achieving your goals is an issue. I'm not going to tell you that, oh yeah, it's okay. No, it's not okay. You've got goals and dreams and ambitions. You've got talents, even though they might be hidden, or they might be dusty or rusty. You know, they might be out of it might be, you know, they might be tired, or they might be sleeping, but it doesn't mean that they don't exist, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be using them. How do you show up in your relationships? This is something personal to you. Are you showing up present, excited? Are you contributing? Are you giving as well as receiving? Okay, how are you showing up? Where do you show up in top form most of the time? Okay, look, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this typo and I'm going, that is just so funny. Yeah, I got it. And my spacing's off, so I will go back and fix this as soon as we're done here. All right. Where do you show up in top form? So this is an opportunity for you to look at yourself and to see, hey, I show up for myself here. I show up really powerfully here. Okay, maybe you're great at showing up and getting your makeup on, showing up and getting your hair done, like on a regular basis. Like, even when you are falling apart emotionally, maybe you always even show up for your friends. These are all really important things. This is where you can see where you have strengths and power to draw from. How you show up, and when you're doing it well, you got to really give yourself credit for that. You got to acknowledge what you're doing well and see how you can use that energy to expand yourself. Okay. Now, next question. Where do you not show up out of apathy or indifference? Another good question along this is like, what are you tolerating? Where are you tolerating stuff, and your response to having to tolerate is that you're just kind of like, whatever. It's really hard when you are in something and you have to just be like, oh, whatever, I'm just doing this. I've gone through that. I've gone through that even recently, you know, and sometimes you have to allow yourself to be where you are. Sometimes, not all the time though. You got to manage your states. You got to manage your emotions. Okay. Next question. What does how you show up say about you? What does how you show up say about you? And this is personal, you know, what are you telling people by the way you blah, blah, blah? What are you telling people by the way you don't blah, blah, blah? All right. These are things that are really important that I need you to look at so that you can rise to the occasion of the work that we do. If you're going to be a spiritual life coach, you got to show up for yourself. You have to show up in your power all the time. That's your job, is to show up. And when you can't show up, okay, because you're tired, I had to take a week off. I literally did not show up for any of my sessions, for 3 sessions over the last week, because I was exhausted. And what I did was I actually showed up and I said to my clients, I said to my students, you saw me here, I said, I've got some issues. I'm needing some time to rest. I'm needing some time to rest, you know? And that was how I had to show up so that, and to me, that makes sense because I'm high energy and I go, 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 go. And sometimes, especially when I'm in a period where Mars is in my sign for 6 weeks, right? When Mars moves into Aquarius or when Mars moves into a complementary sign for me, I feel that I'm very connected to my Mars energy. So with Mars in Aquarius, I have been enjoying all the doing. I mean, literally, I've been waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to bed at 1 o'clock. And when I get in the bed, I'm like, God, I'm wide awake. How am I going to go to sleep? And then all of a sudden I close my eyes just to meditate and I'm fast asleep. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's how I did that. Your definition is of showing up is important for you. And you are the only one who can judge you on this. It's not up to anybody else to give you their opinion about how you're showing up, unless you ask for it, of course. But I want you to consider how you're showing up is showing people something. And my question is, do you like what that thing is saying about you? Okay, that's what I want you to consider. Next question is, how is not showing up in your best form keeping you from obtaining your goals and obtaining your dreams, realizing your dreams? Okay, so how is, I'm just asking you to just be honest. Like, if you have a dream to become a spiritual life coach, what is it that you need to be doing right now to make that dream real? And are you doing it? That's the question. And if you're not, what's that doing to you mentally, emotionally, materially? What's that doing to your dream? Okay. What's holding you back from really showing up big and giving your all to your goals? So why is it that you don't show up and give your all? What's going on inside? Mentally, emotionally, maybe even materially, what's going on? Anything that's happening materially is because of what's going on mentally and emotionally. So there's that. But those are things I want you to consider, okay? What would you need to give up in order to show up at your best? What would you need to give up in order to show up at your best? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Because I'm asking you, what are you gonna sacrifice? Because you got to give up something. And that sacrifice, and that's the next question. What discomforts are you willing to endure to advance yourself toward your goals? Okay. What discomforts are you willing to endure to advance yourself toward your goals? Because those sacrifices you need to make in the previous question, it's gonna hurt, man. I don't like sacrificing, man. And this is hard. And I really avoided sacrificing because I had this idea like, oh, I shouldn't sacrifice anything. I should just live my life and not sacrifice. And that got me nowhere fast. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm gonna have to suck it up and sacrifice some things. And I'm still challenged by that. So go ahead and write those things out. All right. So that is our work for today's lesson. And we just have 2 more lessons and then we're going to be signing off. The program is going to be done. All right. So I will see you all tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow's Tuesday. So I will see you all tomorrow and then we'll do our last session together on Thursday. All right. All right. Thanks so much for joining with me, my friend. Hey, look, by the way, I'm about to do I'm about to go live with a new friend that I met here on Facebook. Her name is Eva Lena Anderson, and she's in Sweden, and I'm here in Paris. So we're going live at 7 p.m. Central European Standard Time. And that is in basically 25 minutes. So if you want to join us, we are going to be on her Facebook page. And that is here. I'm looking at, it's on my Facebook page. There's a link there. And actually what I'll do is put a link in the description for today. I'm going to put in the comments actually. Oh dear. Let's see, what did I do? All right, so please come and join me for this live stream that starts in 20 minutes. All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thanks so much for watching, friend. Bye for now.